What if I told you that the Philosopher's Stone isn't just something out of Harry Potter? What if it's real, but in a way no one ever told you about? After all, Nicolas Flamel was a real person. He was a 14th century French alchemist who, according to legend, found a mysterious manuscript and spent the rest of his life trying to decode a hidden message. Some say he discovered the secret of the Philosopher's Stone and never died. But here's the detail almost no one notices. Real alchemists were never after physical gold. Their gold was something else. The Philosopher's Stone has always been a symbol, a mystery reserved only for those who could truly understand its meaning. But here's the thing, it can't be found. It has to be earned. And for that, one must pass through the gateways of alchemy, a path of trials that the ancients divided into three main stages: Nigredo, Albedo, and Rubedo. Death, purification, rebirth. If this knowledge has reached you, it wasn't by chance. Maybe something inside you already knows there's more beyond what you've been taught. But now, I ask you, are you ready to cross the gateways? The Philosopher's Stone, a mystery as old as human existence itself. To many, just a legend. To others, a symbol of the impossible. But what if I told you that the stone not only exists, but has always been much closer than you think? Since ancient times, alchemists have dedicated their lives to deciphering this enigma. They searched for the formula of immortality, the substance that could turn any base metal into pure gold. For centuries, they analyzed symbols, studied secret manuscripts, and tried to uncover the key to absolute power. But they were looking in the wrong place. The Philosopher's Stone was never an object. It was never some magical powder kept in a vial or a crystal hidden in a forgotten temple. It was always within. Does that mean anyone can find it? No, because before you can see it, you must walk a path that few are willing to take. A path the ancients called the Great Work. The common mind cannot comprehend the stone. It is conditioned, limited, trapped in fixed ideas and illusions created by the world itself. And that is exactly why the first step to finding it is to destroy everything. Dissolve the false. Kill the ego. The alchemists called this process Nigredo, the darkness, the moment when everything collapses, when the identity built over a lifetime crumbles, when certainty vanishes. To the outside world, this looks like a breakdown. But to those who understand, it is the first sign of true transmutation. Then comes albedo, purification. After destruction, pain, and chaos, the mind begins to clear. The light starts to seep in. The weight of illusions begins to fade. This is the stage of awakening. Everything becomes sharper. Reality no longer seems so rigid. The seeker starts to realize that the stone was always there. They just couldn't see it. And then comes the most important moment, Rubedo, rebirth. The moment when everything comes together, when shadow and light, the conscious and the unconscious, the material and the spiritual, finally stop being opposites. You cross the gateways, and the being becomes whole. The Philosopher's Stone is revealed. But here's the detail almost no one notices. Transmutation never happens on its own. Something must guide the process. Something must allow this transformation to take place. The ancients knew this, and they discovered that the secret lay in the very foundation of life, the element that connects everything, the substance that carries within it the memory of creation itself: water. Water as the prima materia, the essence of creation. The Philosopher's Stone can only manifest when transmutation takes place. But for something to transform, it needs a medium, a catalyst, an element capable of dissolving rigidity and allowing rebirth. And the ancient alchemists discovered this secret long before modern science: water. But not the ordinary water you drink every day. I'm talking about living water, the prima materia of creation, the substance that exists before form, before separation, before reality itself as we know it. Since the earliest times, spiritual traditions have pointed to this mystery. The Egyptians spoke of Nun, the primordial ocean from which everything emerged. In the biblical tradition, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters before the creation of the world. In Hinduism, the universe was born from Ananta's cosmic ocean, an endless, infinite flow. These stories aren't just myths. They hold a hidden code. Water is the principle of transmutation because it has no fixed form, yet it can take any form. It doesn't resist what it encounters. It dissolves, it adapts, it transforms. And here's the detail few people notice. Consciousness works the same way. A rigid mind, crystallized in limiting beliefs, cannot transform. But a fluid mind, capable of dissolving and adapting, can be completely reborn. The alchemists understood this and called this special water philosophical mercury. But we're not talking about the toxic metal we know today. This mercury is the bridge between the visible and the invisible, between the conscious and the unconscious. Now stop and think. How does water behave? It's the only element that can exist in 3 different states. That's not a coincidence. The ancients realized that water manifests in 3 forms, and these forms correspond to the 3 stages of consciousness transformation. Solid, the mind trapped in the rigidity of matter, the illusion that everything is fixed and unchangeable. Liquid, the fluidity of perception, the ability to adapt and see beyond form. Gas, complete transmutation, the liberation of the self into an expanded state of consciousness. Now look at your own life. Where are you? If you still see reality as something fixed, unchangeable, where things are just the way they are and can't shift, then your mind is frozen in the solid state. If you've started questioning, realizing that everything is in motion, then you've entered the liquid state. But if you feel that the separation between you and the world is beginning to fade, that everything is interconnected in a continuous flow of energy, then you are evaporating. You are crossing the invisible gateways of transmutation. The alchemists understood that just as water can change states, so can the mind. But there's something even deeper. Modern science, without even realizing it, has begun to touch on this mystery. Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto made a groundbreaking discovery. The molecular structure of water can be altered by vibrations, words, and intentions. When water is exposed to positive words and emotions, its crystals form perfect geometric patterns. But when exposed to negative words, those patterns become chaotic and distorted. Now think, if water can store information in this way, what does that mean for you? Your body is made up of more than 70% water. This means that your emotions, your thoughts, and even your words are shaping the structure of your very being. It also explains why water has always been used in purification rituals, not because there's something magical about the substance itself, but because it responds to the energy we put into it. And if water responds to vibrations, then so does your mind. The alchemists knew this and used water as a mirror. If you want to know what stage you're in, observe your own mental fluidity. But here's the deepest secret. If the Philosopher's Stone is the gold of consciousness, then water is the only path to finding it. Because before transformation, there must be dissolution. Raw stone, before becoming gold, must be immersed, melted down, reduced to its purest essence. And so must the mind. The ancients said that what is rigid must break down before it can be reborn. Just as water wears down mountains, carves paths, and seeps into every space without resistance, the seeker must learn to do the same. There is no obstacle that water cannot overcome. If a path is blocked, it finds another. If placed in a container, it takes its shape. If left free, it moves effortlessly. That is transmutation. And once you understand this, the Philosopher's Stone is no longer a mystery. Water teaches the secret of transmutation. What is rigid can dissolve, adapt, and be reborn in a new form. But water alone does not complete the great work. There is another element that makes true passage between states of being possible: philosophical mercury. Just like water, mercury has a fluid nature. It is neither fully solid nor completely liquid, but an intermediary, a conductor between opposites. In alchemy, mercury is not just a metal, but a universal principle. It is the bridge between matter and spirit, the vehicle that allows consciousness to travel between different levels of reality. The ancients knew that without this fluidity, nothing could be transformed. A rigid mind cannot ascend. A consciousness trapped in illusions cannot see beyond the veil. But when thought becomes like mercury, light, adaptable, in constant motion, perception expands. What once seemed impossible begins to reveal itself. This understanding is not new. The Egyptians called this principle Tehuti. The Greeks knew him as Hermes. The occultists revered him as Trismegistus, the thrice great. The name wasn't given by chance. Hermes Trismegistus was considered the messenger between worlds, the traveler between heaven and earth, carrying the secrets of creation. And here's the detail few people notice. The symbol of Hermes is Mercury itself. The Hermetic tradition teaches that reality operates on multiple layers. Most people live only in the densest layer, the material world, believing that all that exists is what can be seen and touched. But those who understand the principle of Mercury realize that there is more. They learn to move their consciousness between worlds to see that the external reality is merely a reflection of the internal. This is the secret that ancient occultists always guarded. Everything is mind. Those who master philosophical Mercury are no longer bound by the rules of matter. They can shift their perception, transform their destiny, and shape their own existence. Because Mercury is movement, and movement is freedom. But here's the essential detail. Not everyone is ready to understand this principle. Most are trapped in the solid state of the mind, unable to change, unable to question. Only those who learn to dissolve, who allow their beliefs to become fluid, can cross the gateways. And that is the true meaning of philosophical Mercury. It is not a metal, it is not a physical substance. It is the fluidity of consciousness, the key that unlocks the doors of perception. The ancient alchemists understood this. They knew that without Mercury, transmutation was impossible, because without fluidity, without adaptation, without the ability to move between different states of being, there is no transformation. And here lies the great secret. Mercury is thought in motion. A mind that frees itself from fear, from the chains of the past, from fixed beliefs, becomes as light as Mercury and can travel between the dimensions of reality. And when that happens, the gateways open. Water as the link between the visible and the invisible. If philosophical Mercury represents the fluidity of the mind, water is the substance that allows the transition between states of being. It not only carries the memories of the universe, but also acts as an invisible link between the seen and the unseen, between consciousness and mystery. Those who seek the Philosopher's Stone must understand the role of water as the vehicle that drives transformation. On a physical level, water purifies and renews, washing away what is impure and preparing the way for the new. In ancient rituals, sacred baths were used not only to cleanse the body, but also to clear the mind and spirit. This practice persists today in spiritual traditions around the world. On an emotional level, water represents the subconscious, what flows beneath the surface of awareness, carrying memories, repressed emotions, and hidden truths. That's why, in dreams and myths, seas and rivers symbolize the inner world, sometimes calm and crystal clear, other times turbulent and dark. On a spiritual level, water is pure spirit, the channel between dimensions, the force that crosses all barriers and takes the shape of any vessel. The ancients called this substance the water of life because it contains within it the matrix of creation. Water is much more than a physical element. It is the substance that connects all things. The Hermetic masters understood this. That's why they taught that everything solid can be dissolved, and everything dissolved can be reshaped. This is the key to spiritual alchemy, the ability to flow, adapt, and transform what seems unchangeable. But to understand this principle, one must question the very nature of reality. The ancient alchemists already knew what modern science has only recently begun to grasp. Matter is an illusion. Everything that appears solid, the body, objects, even the very ground beneath our feet, is nothing more than condensed vibration. What we call reality is simply a play of frequencies. Everything that exists is energy in motion, and water proves this in an undeniable way. When we examine water at its most fundamental structure, we find that it is not static. It is in constant transformation. On a molecular level, it is nothing but vibration, oscillating between different states. But what if this isn't just a physical phenomenon? What if water's fluidity is a reflection of the very nature of existence itself? If matter is just condensed vibration, then reality is not fixed. It is shaped by consciousness. The great spiritual masters have always said this. Buddha taught that everything we see is a projection of the mind. Hermes Trismegistus revealed that the universe is mental and that what we think, we create. Quantum physics now demonstrates that the very act of observing a particle can alter its state. This means that matter, as we perceive it, does not exist independently. Water teaches us this lesson every day. It can be liquid, solid, or vapor, yet it remains the same substance. It adapts to its environment, but never loses its essence. And just as water can be transformed, so can the mind of the alchemist. Those who understand this principle know they are not prisoners of reality, but co-creators of it. Water proves that we do not have to accept the world as it was presented to us. Just as water can carve its way through even the hardest rock, consciousness can dissolve any barrier and reshape destiny. The hidden secret in water, the universal memory. If water carries the memory of the universe and responds to intention, then it is not just a physical element. It is a key to accessing the invisible. The ancient alchemists already knew what science has only recently begun to investigate. Water not only reflects, but also stores and transmits information. This means that water is not passive. It interacts with the world around it, and more than that, it responds to the vibration it receives. That's why so many spiritual rituals use water as a tool for transmutation. It's not superstition, but knowledge that has been passed down through civilizations. Water can be programmed with intention. But what does this really mean for those seeking the Philosopher's Stone? That the mind of the alchemist must learn to do the same. Just as water can be infused with vibration and directed toward a purpose, so can consciousness. Water teaches us that everything we absorb, feel, and believe reconfigures our own energy. The alchemist who masters this secret realizes that they are not just an observer of reality, but an active participant in its creation. And this principle leads us to an even greater mystery, the fifth element and its connection to the ether. Much is said about the four elements, but true initiates have always known there was a fifth, ether, the invisible substance that permeates everything. The ancients called it quintessence, akasha, prana, ki, different names for the same principle, the energy that shapes reality. But what few realize is that water and ether are expressions of the same force on different levels of existence. Water is the conductor of ether in matter. It is through water that life manifests. Ether is the origin, the subtlest vibration that shapes all things. To understand this connection is to realize that transmutation does not happen from the outside in, but from the inside out. The Philosopher's Stone is not the transformation of matter, but the transformation of perception. The ancient alchemists encoded this secret in symbols, texts, and riddles, but they always left a clue for those who were ready to understand it. What is above is like what is below. This hermetic teaching is not just a mysterious phrase, it is the key to creation. It reveals that everything in the universe follows the same patterns, from the macrocosm to the microcosm, from the vastness of the cosmos to the structure of human consciousness. This means that the secret of the Philosopher's Stone was never hidden in a laboratory, in an ancient manuscript, or in a rare substance. It has always been within us, waiting to be activated. The one who understands this principle realizes that the search is not for an object, but for a state of being. The Philosopher's Stone does not transform the world around you, it transforms the one who finds it. And that is the true secret of the great work. The ancient alchemists created their experiments to represent what must happen internally. Every phase of the alchemical process symbolizes a transformation within the seeker. Nigredo, Albedo, Rubedo, these are not just chemical stages, but internal gateways that can only be crossed by an awakened consciousness. The lead to be transmuted is not a metal, it is the conditioned mind, weighed down by limiting beliefs, illusions, and fear. The gold is not a noble metal, it is the elevated spirit, the liberated consciousness, the perfect fusion between the human and the divine. And the question that few dare to ask is, if transmutation is already happening within you, are you ready to cross the gateways? If this knowledge has found you, it was not by chance. Ancient texts say that the philosopher's stone only reveals itself to those who are ready. That is because crossing the alchemical gateways is not an easy path. It requires dissolving certainties, challenging your own perception of reality, and letting go of everything that no longer serves you. The stone cannot be found by those who cling to the past, to fear, or to the rigidity of the mind. It only manifests for those who dare to break free from illusion. And if this knowledge has reached you, it means the gateways have already begun to open. But there is a choice to be made. You can ignore this calling, continue walking the same path, seeing the world through the same eyes, or you can take the next step. Cross the gateways. Question reality. Accept that true alchemy has always been about awakening to what has always been within. The question is no longer whether the philosopher's stone exists. The question is, are you ready to find it? And for those who stayed until the end, I left a major recommendation in the first pinned comment. 2 essential books for anyone who wants to deepen their knowledge of alchemy. The Kybalion, one of the most enigmatic texts of Hermetic philosophy, revealing the 7 universal principles that govern the mind and reality. If you want to understand how to transform your life through mental alchemy, this book is indispensable. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, a story that reflects the very journey of the great work. The protagonist's search for his treasure is a powerful metaphor for those who feel the call of transformation. Read carefully, absorb the teachings, and uncover the secrets that have always been hidden. See you in the next video.